absolutely delighted with what I saw from Niclas Füllkrug yesterday, and having had a little bit more time to dissect it, I like what I've seen. When I did the video yesterday, obviously I'd not heard the interview from him. Really, really long, detailed interview. His English is far better than I thought it was, actually, and he's an impressive character. He's not just an impressive player, he carries himself really impressively, and I couldn't help but think back to Tim Stuyton's comments a week or so ago, where he said he didn't regret getting Füllkrug at all, and he thought he was a really good player, but he spoke about his leadership. Do you remember? He spoke about how he thought his leadership and his character could be a really good influence on the group. I think I saw it. I saw the playing stuff, and I think I saw what Stuyton was alluding to. It's funny, as time goes on, Stuyton can either look better or worse. This goes back to that sort of nuanced stuff that I was talking about the other day, where there's a lot of stuff he did really, really well, and then there's stuff that he didn't do so well. But you look at, after 90 minutes, 95 minutes of yesterday's game, or whatever it was, look at Luis Guilherme looking promising, you look at Füllkrug having an impact, you're thinking, well, hold on, this geezer didn't look too bad, did he? Maybe we should try and get him back. He was just right. I was so impressed with Füllkrug and what I saw from him. I wish everybody could enjoy it, though. It wasn't a win, it was a draw, and it was a draw the wrong way round. If you're going to get a draw, you want to score the final goal that makes it a draw, don't you? And when you've been ahead and you can see the goal, it feels more like a loss. But I think, given the context of where West Ham had been, it felt like a moral victory, even if it wasn't a Premier League win. And the reason I felt like that is because how bad we have been at attacking. It felt there was a familiarity about it, whatever formation we might have been playing. 4-2-3-1, was it? Possibly something like that. I think when you get to a point that West Ham were at, I think all those fine, minute details don't really mean anything. It's about getting your best players in their best positions. And I felt like we had more of a familiar shape. I don't really care what you want to label Jarrod Bowen's best position, but I thought he was in it. I thought Lucas Paqueta was in a position where he could maximise his skills. But at centre forward, do you know what I mean? It just felt right, and I was pleased with it. It felt like a victory for West Ham in that sense, that you thought, okay, well, just maybe, if we can replicate this going forward, this is going to be a good thing for us. And I was just amazed and wowed by Füllkrug's performance. And when I say I wish that everybody can enjoy it, I'm sure you've noticed this yourselves if you're on social media. If you're not on social media, well, you're one of the more sensible people watching this video, quite frankly. Because often social media gets labelled as toxic. And it's not, but it can be. It can be. And one of the things that I've noticed is, if West Ham are not doing well, you don't have to just deal with encountering the rival fans. Say you lose to Arsenal or whatever. You haven't got to just deal with Arsenal fans. You've got to deal with the I told you so's from West Ham fans. And it's on social media, very much so, more than anything else. And I think after yesterday's game, I uploaded my video and started to read. Again, went on social media just to get the vibe of what was happening. And I guess I shouldn't be caught out. I shouldn't be so naive to think everyone's going to be pleased about it. You had the I told you so's on there. And it's always difficult, because it's almost a case of, well, if you ever doubted Füllkrug, you don't get to enjoy this now. It's that sort of thing. And it's almost calling out anybody that might have questioned Füllkrug. And there's a few accounts that do it on a sort of regular basis, and it's weird because it's West Ham fans baiting West Ham fans, and I think, oh man, just enjoy it. And there was a couple on there saying, oh, well, I've always thought Füllkrug's a really good player, and I think he should be leading the line, and I think he should play for West Ham for the rest of this season, and I think he should play for next season. And look, I mean, that would be great, but he's been injury. Well, he's not been injury prone. He's been bloody injured, which I think is really the problem. I didn't know anything about Füllkrug. I've been watching the channel for a long time. When we signed him, I said, I don't know. I'm going to be a finding out process. I hadn't watched the World Cup, hadn't watched him play for Dortmund. I didn't know, and I said I want to find out more. Well, I didn't. So I find myself looking at scraps, and every little bit I see of him, I get to learn a little bit more. And the more I see, the more I learn, and the more I like. I'm starting to come round to the opinion now that he is a very, very good player. But it doesn't mean anybody that was concerned or disappointed that he got injured before was wrong. he has been injured. It's just, we would all like him to be excellent and play for the rest of the season and be fit for all the next season, but at the moment we don't have any evidence that he's going to be. So it would be very, very dangerous for us to pin all our hopes on this one guy who looks excellent, that he might be around next season to do it for us. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't. It was earlier on in the season, he was complaining about being homesick and wanted to go back. I don't know if that's changed. I would hope it has, because he's sort of got that cult hero thing about him, hasn't he? He really has. Very easy player to get behind. Very, yeah, I definitely got personality. He's oozes personality on the pitch, doesn't he, really? And it just made such a difference, such an impact. I was listening to, they sort of sew all the interviews together on the official West Ham YouTube channel and do the interviews afterwards. So they had Füllkrug's interview, which then ran into Potter's interview. And I guess it's the in-house interviewer for West Ham United. And he asked a very, very interesting question. He asked a question, but he front-loaded it with an observation, which I thought was really, really good. And he said, Füllkrug seems to occupy more than one defender. Oh, well, that's obvious stuff, isn't it? But he's right. I hadn't thought of it myself, and then found myself thinking about it. I think actually he does. He does, doesn't he? It's a good observation by the guy with the microphone asking the questions. And again, you get back to that simple stuff. Is it? You know, it's little simple things like you could spend all day talking about shape and formations and all this sort of stuff, but if you have a player who can occupy two of the oppositions, there's going to be a space somewhere, right? At its simplest form. I thought, yeah, you know, this is really good. And Füllkrug was talking about his partnership. He was talking about Jared Bowen and how he thinks he can form a partnership with him, or words to that effect. It was easy. It was so easy to listen to this stuff and be buoyed by it and feel that West Ham had. It's not like we've stumbled on something. There's no accident here. We should have been enjoying the fruits of this earlier on this season. There's little doubt about that. And I think there was disappointment, but I don't think the disappointment is Füllkrug's fault. And I don't think it's any West Ham fans' fault for being disappointed at the way the transfer unfolded, which was the whole thing with Durán, which was messed up, and then we get Füllkrug and then he gets injured. I just find it difficult now that people are going back, West Ham fans, and retrospectively having a go at other West Ham fans who might have thought that. I don't know. Look, before I go any further, can I please point in the direction of today's video sponsor, Match Bingo. The reason I'm pointing out today, we've got games today. We've got 3 games today, haven't we? So your Match Bingo cards aren't just for West Ham games, far from it. In fact, if you use the link below and you use the Hammers Chat link, you're going to get a special offer. You're going to get deposit £10 and they're going to give you another tenner, which means deposit £10, get 20 quid. If you're up on your mathematics, of course. Now, Match Bingo is a game. It's a bit like bingo, but it's a bit like football. Rather than there being numbers, there's events that have to happen in a football match. Basically, what happens is you buy a card, you buy a ticket for a game. They're £2 each. And as events happen during the game, a goal kick, a free kick, a throw-in, a shot on target, a shot off target, basically your card starts to fill up in the way that you would cross off numbers in bingo. Things start, you don't have to do it yourself. You haven't got to sit there with a pen or anything like that. Match Bingo app will do it all for you. It pays out for the first line, it pays out for the second line, it pays out for a full house, and it pays out a bonus pot as well. We have had on Hammers Chat over 200 winners. We even had a double winner on the same guy, right? Same guy, one match last week, won twice, won the first line and the second line. So we got a big history of people winning on this thing. Check it out. The link is in the description below. Please use that. They'll know you come from Hammers Chat, and there's a couple of little bonuses on there, including the free tenner. Go and check it out. Links in the description below. Yeah, just in terms of what happened with Füllkrug, we all want to. Everybody wants to like him, everyone wants to want him to work out, but West Ham made such a mess of the Jhon Durán transfer deal, such a mess, that I think in the end we miss out on a really good player by £3 million. Not only that, we then play Aston Villa on the first game of the season and this guy scores at the London Stadium, Durán. Thinking, oh man. And then we've got this player who is a second choice, absolute, actually was third choice, wasn't he? If you look back and follow it, not clearly completely different to the guy that we've been chasing. And he wasn't a young. I thought, what was Durán at the time? Was Durán 20? I think he might have been. He was at most 21. I think he might be 21 now. He was 20 then. 20-year-old fast striker. Then we then go and get somebody who plays completely differently. Is 31 and injury prone. The profile's completely different. And then, of course, he goes on and gets injured. You can understand West Ham fans being annoyed, being frustrated, being concerned. Then you hear that it's been a disaster. He called it himself a disaster transfer. You start hearing reports he wants to go home. That gets confirmed by the club. Then you hear that he's going to go back to Germany in January. He gets back. He scores a goal. Gets injured again. You can understand why we're disappointed, but that doesn't mean because all that happens you can't enjoy him playing well now. This is a good thing. Ideally his career would have started in August. His West Ham career hasn't really. It looks like it's starting now in April, right? Well, that's good. It would have been better if it had started then, but it's starting now. It's still a good thing. It doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. And you see it all the time. I just think online, it's just find it frustrating. Something happens and then there'll be somebody else out. Or where are all the West Ham fans that said this? Where are they now? All being quiet now, and it's other West Ham fans doing it. And it's a win. Well, I say it's a win. It's a moral victory for West Ham. We get this striker back, and I was delighted. I've got to say, at the end, I was delighted yesterday, and I think it was important in the review to point out what I didn't like at the start of the game. But I hope Potter's seen enough now in Füllkrug to know he's got to play a striker, and maybe he's got to play that type of striker. I just remember Glenn Murray causing us all manner of problems when we played Brighton. Maybe that's the type of guy that makes it work for Potter. So maybe, I don't know. It's difficult enough to imagine Potter playing one striker, because that's just what we're just starting to get a little bit of now. If we were to sign Jonathan David doesn't fit into what we were doing yesterday particularly, so you've got to almost imagine that maybe he'll switch system again, which I think Potter's perfectly capable of doing. Maybe he'll play. It's hard for me to think he'll play two strikers, because I'm struggling to think he'll play one with regularity. Whatever it is and whoever we get, I would very much like to keep Füllkrug, but I would not like to rely on him, because you just get this situation again, don't you? Just get this situation unfolding. He looks fit. He looks strong. Maybe, just maybe. I mean, Potter is cautious. And particularly with the way he brings players back, he does seem to do it slowly. And that may be a benefit. That might not be a bad thing. That might be exactly what Füllkrug needs. It really might. It should be no surprise. And if Potter were to turn around now and say, look, I've been really dealt a bad hand here. I was relying on him. He was really, really good in the first game against Aston Villa. He got injured after 13 minutes. Graham Potter, first game. Well, you can go back and watch it. It's only 13 minutes of your time. But he looked good. He looked good. So Potter would have every right to say, well, I've wanted him back. I've struggled without a striker. And you know what? I think it would be easier to accept if he hadn't avoided playing. I think certainly Evan Ferguson as much as he had. Maybe we'd find out had Mikel Antonio played. Maybe Mikel Antonio had played every game. Maybe that would have been it. Maybe that was it. Maybe Mikel Antonio was meant to share this time, sort of 50-50 with Füllkrug, and we haven't had either. And I'd say that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But I think now you have strikers back and we have strikers fit. He's got to play a striker. He really does. As for Füllkrug, I'm absolutely delighted with what I've seen, and I don't make any apologies at all for being pissed off when he was getting injured, and when we haven't basically built up a squad good enough to accommodate that sort of stuff. But it doesn't mean that I don't like him. I certainly do. I want to see more. I want to learn more. The more I learn, the more I like, and that in itself is a good thing. Anyway, enjoy the sunshine. What are you doing watching this? You should be out in your speedos, in the paddling pool, in the garden. There's an image.